50K, 100K per month plus. Now, at this sweet spot, you have enough total earning potential and capital to choose your next business model. And on top of that, the total earning potential isn't so high that the business model is no longer even beginner friendly. Then last but not least, it's number 5, which is schedule freedom. This is an entrepreneur's true measure of wealth. As you progress in your entrepreneurial journey, a shift occurs in how you value time versus money. This creates what I call the freedom appreciation curve. New entrepreneurs typically focus almost exclusively on income, but seasoned entrepreneurs often make decisions that prioritize time flexibility over maximum profit. This isn't because they've become less ambitious, it's because they recognize that control over their time is the ultimate form of wealth. So consider the difference between making 300K but working 70-hour weeks with constant client emergencies. So that's 10 hours a day. You're having constant client emergencies. So even when you're off, you're not even really off. You could be out, right? Maybe on a date or just out with your family. You get a call and now you're like, oh crap, I gotta go home right now. Versus making 200K, working 25 hours a week. That's 5 days a week for 5 hours a day with complete schedule control. You work if you want to. On paper, the first option appears more successful, but entrepreneurs who have experienced both scenarios almost universally prefer the second. The ability to attend your child's events, care for your health, pursue side interests, or travel spontaneously represents a form of wealth that raw income figures just cannot capture. Now we must discuss profit over passion so that you can one day put passion over profit. So I'll give you an example, right? And I mentioned this example a little bit earlier on in the course, but the average return of the S&P 500 is about 10% annually. So for example, if $1 million invested, you would earn on average 120K per year. Now, that's not like every single year reliably. It's not smart to take income out of the market like that. We're going to talk about more of that stuff when it comes to investing. $2 million invested will, of course, double your income, meaning that after this amount of liquid capital is generated, there's not much to need to work. After you already have $1 million in the bank, you could make certain investments in things like real estate, stocks, etc., and then live off that for essentially the rest of your life. There's no reason as to why you couldn't. You can be in the top 10% of income without even lifting a finger. The point I'm making is the entrepreneurial world loves to repeat the thought of follow your passion and the money will follow. This advice is misleading and backwards. The smarter approach is pursuing profit so that you can eventually fund your passions without financial constraints. And the reason why I say that is this. A lot of the richest people in the world are still going and working hard as hell as if they don't have any money, truly just because they just love what they're doing. There's a reason why I'm losing sleep bringing this 16-hour course to just online and to YouTube. Right? It's because it's something that's important to me. I read the comments and they're touching. So doing this is the use of time that is best for me, that I genuinely want to do. There's no reason other than that to do it, because at a certain point, especially after $1 million, money in your bank account is just money. It's just an extra zero. It doesn't actually affect anything. So what that means for you guys is this. You might really like carpentry. And this is actually a story from my own past. I really liked carpentry. I really liked building things. I really liked woodworking. And I was thinking, well, maybe I'll start my own construction business. That would be a terrible idea. Some people can make it work. I do not want to do that. Some people start an Etsy store and like sell their stuff online or just sell their stuff around. Maybe these things are conceivable ways to work, but at the end of the day, I was not passionate about copywriting or online business or marketing or sales at all. But I made the profit and now I'm doing what I do love, which is making the videos, training people, teaching people, and still doing marketing as well on the side. So the bottom line is this. Forget your passion for now. It's really not that important to actually making money. And a lot of people are saying, well, I have to follow my passion to make profit. Is like saying, well, I really want to be tall, so I'm going to start playing basketball. It's like, that's just not how it works. That is a misplaced modifier. You will do what you're passionate about later on in your journey. For right now, you need to focus on what is going to make you profit so that you can have the means, have the time, have the funds to go ahead and pursue your passions. I pursue my passions all the time. I love playing guitar. My guitar is just right back there. And I love going to the gym. I love working out. And I have lots of hobbies outside of business as well. And I consider business to be my favorite hobby. The power of proven business models, why innovation is overrated for beginners. So the entrepreneurial world glorifies innovation and disruption, like we chatted about, but this goes a little bit deeper. But for most beginners, choosing a proven business model that's working right now dramatically gives you better odds. In other words, life ain't like Shark Tank. I can't explain that enough. And that's what most people's paradigm is, that they have to create some, new product or new service to the market. But really, it's not like that. Here's why. When you choose an established business model, you're getting a form of validation that can't be replicated through theory or planning. You get real customers, a functional delivery system that already exists, and the unit economics can work. You already know. So I can't stress this enough. You need to pick something that's already out there. Now look, you can divide most business models into two separate categories: e-commerce versus service. We're going to cover how they both work and which one is going to be right for you. So both of them have their own pros and cons. We're going to take a look at both models and see which could work better for beginners and for you personally. So the first one is e-commerce, which is selling stuff. E-commerce is all about moving products from point A to point B while taking a cut in the middle. This means things like drop shipping, creating your own products, or flipping items on Amazon FBA. All those things can be put under e-commerce. Core model is always going to be the same. Buy things for cheap, sell them for higher than you bought them, and try not to pull your hair out managing the inventory and shipping. The appeal is pretty obvious. Products can be sold while you sleep, systems can be built to handle most of the work, and the income isn't directly tied to your time. You can potentially scale to big numbers without proportionally scaling your effort. But again, here's the iceberg, here's the reality. E-commerce is far from passive income dream that is often painted as. The upfront costs can be huge, gigantic. Inventory, advertising, website development, and the inevitable product duds that won't even sell. Competition is fierce, with margins getting squeezed from every direction. Dropshipping is like the number one most popular business model ever. You have so many people selling things online now. And look, I already talked about, the saturation effect and the size of the pie fallacy, but to a certain point, it's got to be at least a factor that everybody and their mother has started some sort of dropshipping store in the past. When people see my lifestyle and the cash that I got, the very first thing they think is, bro, you do dropshipping? That's how popular the business model is. And customer service issues can quickly turn your passive business into a very active headache. The e-commerce winners today aren't selling random products. They're doing something deeper. They're building brands people connect with or solving specific problems better than anyone else. It's become less about the transaction and more about the relationship with customers. Next, you have service-based business models, which is essentially you selling skills in your service. So service businesses revolve around trading expertise, skills, or time for money. This includes freelancing, consulting, coaching, agency work, or any other business where you're selling what you know or what you can do rather than a physical product. Now, the big advantage here is the startup speed. You can literally be in business tomorrow with nothing more than a skill people will pay for and a way for them to find you. The margins are usually great since you're not dealing with physical costs. Now, there's lots of different headaches here as well. You're more tied into the business, but again, like I said, pros and cons to everything. So like I'm saying, the time for money trap. Traditional service-based businesses create a ceiling on how much you earn based on the hours you work and the rates you command. The smartest service providers have figured out ways around these limitations. So they package their services into productized offerings with clear deliverables and prices. They build teams to multiply their impact. So you start out and it's just you, but down the line, you can build teams that actually do the work for you so that you get the same benefits of e-commerce. But again, you don't have to deal with all of those other problems and things. And of course, you can outsource your time and your effort with e-commerce as well. But again, you're going to be cutting into your already razor thin profit margins. And if 1 month you're just not profitable, your profit margins go down by a few percent, that can make you at least like almost no profit or, God forbid, negative profit. You can actually lose money, run a huge business where you're bringing in hundreds of thousands of dollars per month, but you're also spending hundreds of thousands of dollars per month as well. But With service-based business, they create systems that let them deliver consistent results without reinventing the wheel each time. So it's efficient, choosing your path. No. So which is right for you? It comes down to three main factors. So one, your starting point. What skills, resources, connections do you already have? Services let you leverage existing skills immediately, while e-commerce might require learning entirely new skill sets. So when it comes to where you're already at with your skills, this is where I like to reiterate the fact that I had no skills relevant at all. I knew how to shoot guns and clean guns and run offenses. In the Army, I also knew how to build things like buildings in construction. And then I also knew how to witness crimes and write it down as a security guard. So I didn't have any relevant skills. Now, having skills is very nice to have when you're first starting out, but you don't necessarily need them because chances are you're going to be learning lots of skills along the way. Next is your timeline. How quickly you need to make money. Service-based businesses typically generate revenue much faster, while e-commerce often requires more upfront investment without seeing any returns. Not to mention, if you're starting